Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We've got a ton going on here at Spirit Blade Productions and Christian Geek Central, including our in-depth Bible study for geeks, movie, game, and other entertainment reviews or commentary, live streams, Christian geek news, original audio dramas, and tons more. And on top of all that, you can become a Spirit Blade insider with an influential voice and get access to exclusive content and rewards. It's your involvement as a patron that will keep all of this going and growing, so I want to thank you for your consideration in that. For more information, please check out our Patreon page through the link below at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is the Christian Geek News Radar, where I shine a spotlight on some cool stuff that may be of particular interest to Christian geeks. I do that every month right on the YouTube channel and on the Christian Geek Central podcast. Although I did take a little bit of time off during the Christmas season, there wasn't as much news during that time period, but there are some things I want to catch you guys up on. Starting with Realm Makers. This is a Christian-run conference for writers of speculative fiction of various kinds, so sci-fi, fantasy, horror, that kind of stuff. And recently they have changed kind of their mode of operation to draw in writers that are not necessarily coming from a Christian background, but their thinking is that behind the scenes they want to run the conference with a biblical worldview in mind, with biblical values in mind, the way they run that conference and the values that they uphold. So it's an interesting new direction that they've taken recently. And for the 2019 conference, the keynote speaker is going to be Brent Weeks, who is a believer who's also one of my favorite writers, but he writes in mainstream, really dark fantasy, fiction. And so I thought that was a really noteworthy bit of news that I shared on the Christian Geek Radar not too long ago. And a new update that they shared is that Terry Brooks, which is another one of my favorite fantasy authors, will be the guest of honor at Realm Makers 2019. Terry Brooks, to my knowledge, not necessarily a believer. He might have some Catholicism in his background. I'm not sure if that's more of a cultural thing or what that means to him, but he certainly doesn't write to a Christian audience, or particularly motivated that I know of by biblical ideas. And so this is a really interesting thing to see him coming to that conference, and I think it could be a really good thing for the conference and those who attend. So yeah, more and more they're doing some things that are definitely noteworthy to me. If you want more information about that conference, you can get it at realmmakers.net. realmmakers.net. All right, so let's move on to some book releases that have come from Christian authors. We've got author S.D. Grimm, who released Black Blood. This is Children of the Moon, Book 3. And actually, rather than read the description of that, I figure if you've heard of this series, then you're probably going to be interested in this book if you enjoyed the first two. But for those who have not heard of this series, let me give you the description for the first book in the Children of the Blood Moon series, which the first one is called Scarlet Moon. Book 1 is called Scarlet Moon. The description reads, "Destiny can pick someone else. Evil is slipping through the cracks of its prison, and all Soloden trembles in its wake. Yet some would harness that evil to their own ends, and first among them is Idla, the sorceress queen bent on distorting the world. Only one can stand in her way, Jaden. Upon realizing her mark as the prophesied deliverer, Jaden conceals herself from her enemies and her Pharaohvoke countrymen. But after the harm the Pharaohvoke caused to her family, she's loath to rescue the not-so-innocent. Hiding her mark was never easy, but now that Jaden knows both Queen Idla and the Pharaohvoke are after her, hiding her gift of the Blood Moon will be impossible." So again, that is the Children of the Blood Moon series, first book in the series, Scarlet Moon, by S.D. Grimm, and book 3 in that series has just released. Let's see here. Then we've got Valiant, by Mary DeStefano. Let's see here. This looks like it might be part of a series. It says book 1, but I'm not sure exactly if that's part of a planned series or not. Anyway, the description reads, "The Valiant was supposed to save us. Instead, it triggered the end of the world. Earth is in shambles. Everyone, even the poorest among us, invested in the Valiant's space mining mission in the hopes we'd be saved from ourselves. But the second the ship leaves Earth's atmosphere, our fate is sealed. The alien invasion begins. They pour into cities around the world through time portals, possessing humans, forcing us to kill one another. And for whatever reason, my brother is their #1 target. Now the fate of the world lies in the hands of me, a 17-year-old girl, but with the help of my best friend, Justin, who's suddenly starting to feel like more. Maybe if we save my brother, we can save us all. So that is Mary DeStefano's Valiant. Let's see here. What do we have next? Okay, K.M. Weiland has released Wayfarer, and I'm going to try and put links to all these in the description below, whether you're listening to this on the Christian Geek Central podcast, or if you're checking this out on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/ChristianGeekCentral. The description for Wayfarer by K.M. Weiland reads, "In this heroic gas lamp fantasy, superhuman abilities bring an adventurous new dimension to 1820 London, where an outlaw speedster and a master of illusion do battle to decide who will own the city. Think being a superhero is hard? Try being the first one. Will's life is a proper muddle." Excuse me, muddle. And all because he was accidentally inflicted with the ability to run faster and leap higher than any human ever. One minute, he's a blacksmith's apprentice trying to save his master from debtor's prison. The next, he's accused of murder and hunted as a black-hearted highwayman. A vengeful politician with dark secrets and powers even more magical than Will's has duped all of London into blaming Will for the chilling imprisonments of the city's poor. The harder Will tries to use his abilities to fight crime, the deeper he is entangled in a dark underworld belonging to some of Georgian England's most colorful characters. Only Will stands a chance of stopping this powerful madman bent on reforming London by any means necessary. Unfortunately, Will is beginning to realize becoming a legend might mean sacrificing everything that matters. So again, that's Wayfarer by K.M. Weiland. And then finally, among the books that have come out recently, is Halida, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, by Sarah Delana White. The description for Halida reads, "A mortal alchemist, a fairy king, a bond that transcends death. Betrayed by a trusted mentor, Sylvie," oh boy, here we go with fantasy names, I'll give it my best shot. "Sylvie Amanthea hides on the fringes of society, caring for half-fey orphans and trading her alchemical creations on the black market. She lives for the one night each season when she can see her dearest friend, a man whose destiny is far above hers. King Talon Ashgalabek knows better than to exchange Halida vows with a mortal. Even their friendship is a risk. Love is an impossible dream. Then a brutal alchemical attack poisons his realm, unearthing a dark power within him and leaving Sylvie with the ancient mark of Fairy's savior. Manifesting unpredictable abilities and aided by allies with their own secrets, Sylvie and Talon journey into the wilds of Fairy to heal the damage and confront Casimir, an invincible star fae determined to claim the realm as his own. But only their enemy knows Sylvie's true capabilities and Talon's weaknesses and how to use them in his vicious schemes. Her fate is life. His fate is death. With Fairy in the balance, Sylvie and Talon must stand together before reality as they know it is destroyed." So again, that's Halida by Sarah Delana White. If you want information on more books that are being produced by Christians in the genres of various speculative fiction story forms, I want to recommend the YouTube channel of Adam Collings. He's my go-to place where I look for the new releases and information about what's happening in the world of Christian geek fiction authors, and I kind of cherry pick some of the things that he shares. I don't share all the same things that he shares, so you can get even more information about books that are out there, some anthologies, some maybe some like self-published published stuff or more indie type stuff. There's a lot more that you can find out by checking out the YouTube channel of Adam Collings. Finally, in some interesting news that I think would be of interest to Christian geeks, February 16th marks the 8th annual World Pangolin Day. An Oklahoma-based video game studio is generating awareness for the peculiar creature via their new mobile game, Pangolin Puzzle. I reached out to them for some more information. I've talked about the game before on the Christian Geek Radar, and they mentioned that this event was coming up, and so I asked for more information about the event and their involvement with it, and so they sent me some great information. I'm going to share some of it with you now. For those wondering, also known as scaly anteaters, pangolins are the world's only scale-covered mammals. Intense demand for pangolin scales and meat, coupled with their slow reproduction rate, has placed all 8 species under threat of extinction. Pangolin's Puzzle tells the story of a timid young pangolin who embarks on an unexpected adventure with only one weapon, a powerful, problem-solving imagination. Players will utilize critical thinking and reasoning skills to solve challenging logic puzzles, which are carefully integrated into the game's story. The immersive experience is enhanced by an evocative soundtrack and painterly artwork of the colorful African landscapes and imaginary realms where the game takes place. Players unlock additional story and facts about this little-known endangered animal. Pangolin's Puzzle is a family-friendly game that unveils a biblical worldview of purpose and stewardship of God's creation. Over the course of the game's story, the protagonist learns to pursue God's will and derive strength and courage from Christ. Through interaction with other characters with God-centered motives, the protagonist is guided and encouraged to do what is morally right and make sure her actions cause a positive impact on the world around her. The game also encourages its players to make a positive impact for pangolins by learning more about the animals and the organizations fighting to save them in the wild. Hero Factor Games donates 50% of profits from in-app purchases to support these organizations. Pangolin's Puzzle is available for iOS and Android mobile devices at a price of $3.99. Players can make in-app purchases to unlock hints, but spending is capped at $5.95 to respect players' pocketbooks. Hero Factor Games LLC is a Bartlesville, Oklahoma-based independent video game developer. The team strives to develop original, entertaining, engaging games that reflect a Christian worldview. To learn more about Hero Factor Games, you can visit herofactorgames.com. If you'd like to suggest a website to be featured on the Christian Geek News Radar or other news of interest to Christian geeks, you can drop me a link in the comments or email me at paeter@spiritblade.com. Also, you can stay up to date on the notable news in Christian geekery by following Christian Geek Central on Twitter at Christian_geek. All right, that's all for now. Thanks. Bye-bye. ChristianGeekCentral.com